Hello, welcome to this special presentation of Disc Golf, Unique Technique. Let's start out with a brief introduction. While I introduce myself, please write your names on the tent cards in front of you and turn them towards me. My name is Chip Little. I am a junior at the University of North Texas, earning my bachelor's degree in management with concentration areas in business communications and leadership development. I am a relatively new professional disc golfer and currently a member of three teams: the UNT Disc Golf Club, Go Mean Green, Team Trilogy, and my sponsor team, Team Truly Unique. After first trying to play disc golf in 2013, I took a break from it until around February 2019. Once I picked it back up with some friends, I was instantly hooked. Disc golf, in my opinion, is the most balanced and fun sport in the world. For over 40 years, relatively few people were aware of or participated in any kind of disc sports, but disc golf has recently exploded in popularity, due in part to the COVID-19 pandemic. This presentation provides a basic introduction to most of what I've learned about this incredible sport over the last few years, and is oriented more toward those who are at least somewhat familiar with it. Quick question: how many of you have played disc golf before? Raise your hands. Okay, a few of you, great. How many of you have heard of disc golf but never played before? Raise your hands. Okay, cool. I see a few more hands. And how many of you have never even heard of disc golf before and have no idea what I'm talking about? Okay, lots more hands that time. No problem. I'm glad you're here. Even if you've never heard of it before, I'll get you ready to play. Because I have immersed myself in the sport for nearly the last 3 years and have become deeply involved in it, I want to share my passions and knowledge with you. This presentation will also be on my social media. My username is ChipnDiscs. That's ChipnDiscs. Okay, you're probably wondering how disc golf got started. Though the true origins are unclear, the official history of disc golf began in the mid-1970s when Steady Ed Hedrick, the very first Professional Disc Golf Association member, patented the disc golf basket. Interestingly, he also patented the Frisbee in 1966. Competitive disc golf grew somewhat slowly for the next several decades. However, in the early 2000s, there was a significant increase in PDGA registrations. Through 2015, PDGA memberships grew to over 30,000 active players. That was just 6 years ago. Fast forward to today, and it's on track to surpass 200,000 registered professional players. Around 45,000 were just registered this year, 2021, and it's continuing to grow extremely quickly. Who knows? By this time next year, we could be looking at 250,000 or more registered professional players. Fortunately for us Texans, as of last year, the state of Texas had more disc golf courses than any other state, 465. For context, the next 3 states with the most courses are California with 331, Minnesota with 340, and Wisconsin with 351. Texas has over 100 more disc golf courses than any other state. Y'all know what they say. Everything's bigger here. Yes, Mark, you had a question.
So, what equipment do I need to play disc golf?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's talk about standard equipment and basic elements of gameplay. Disc golf is played similarly to traditional ball golf. Instead of balls and clubs, disc golf is played with plastic discs weighing around a half pound each. Discs are generally either considered putters or drivers. Drivers can be one of several types: distance, fairway and control, or mid-range. Different disc types are shaped differently to create different flight patterns and average throwing distances. Unlike ball golf, disc golf is relatively inexpensive to play. Most discs cost between $10 to $20, and it can be played with as few as 1 to 3 discs. There are more expensive discs, especially in premium plastics, but beginners should be able to get started with just base or mid-grade plastics and with just a few types. Gameplay is also similar to ball golf. Discs are thrown from a tee toward a basket. Each throw is counted as 1 stroke, and most courses are 18 holes. Once a player's disc lands in a basket, they have completed that hole. One major difference is that disc golf is measured in feet instead of yards. So instead of driving a ball around 300 yards, many players can throw a driver around 300 feet off the tee. When starting out, always remember to wear comfortable shoes and suitable clothing for the conditions, and always bring water with you. Once you get more experienced, begin adding more gear, specifically a good disc golf bag. Yes, Sarah, what's your question?
Why are there all
all these different types of discs?
Well, great question. Let's talk about disc specifics. Discs are designed for specific flight patterns and throwing distances. These characteristics are denoted by flight numbers. The distance potential is indicated by the speed rating. Distance drivers have sharper edges and wider rims and are generally rated at speeds 11 to 14. These are the most difficult to control, but also have the farthest flight potential. Fairway and control drivers are similarly shaped, but will take their intended flight path at lower speeds, making them slightly easier to control. These are usually rated at speeds 6 to 10. Mid-range drivers have narrower rims and more blunt edges, meaning they will fly straighter, but not as far, and are rated for the 4 to 6 speed range. Putters are designed specifically for throwing for short throwing distances into the chains on a basket and are rated at speeds 2 to 3. Flight characteristics vary with exactly how a disc is thrown, but generally speaking, for a right-hand, backhand thrower, these are the flight patterns. These discs are all available from Dynamic Discs, and these are the flight patterns when thrown at a flat release parallel to the ground at either low, moderate, or full speed. As you can see, some discs are designed to lean or turn towards the right before fading back to the left, whereas others will hold a straight line forward before fading harder to the left. These charts also indicate average flight distances for the various types of discs. Distance drivers, when thrown at full speed, can reach distances of 400 to 500 feet. However, don't worry if you can't crush a driver that far. Most people can't, myself included. If you can get a distance driver to fly at least 300 feet most of the time, you're doing great. Yes, James, did you have a question?
I already have discs, but what do these flight numbers really mean?
Well, I'm glad you asked. It's almost like I wrote these questions myself. Recalling that discs are designed to take various flight patterns, flight numbers describe those flight patterns. I'll use the Westside Discs Anvil, a mid-range driver, as an example. Flight numbers consist of 4 categorical ratings: speed, glide, turn, and fade. Speed refers to the maximum distance potential of the disc when thrown at the appropriate speed and has a direct correlation to the rim width. Higher speeds have wider rims. Glide refers to a disc's ability to stay airborne. A higher glide rating means the disc will work to stay in the air. Turn refers to the disc's natural tendency to turn in the direction opposite to where it will finish its flight and fall to the ground. Turn is important in making discs fly around obstacles like trees. If thrown properly, certain discs can fly around obstacles and finish near a basket that can't actually be seen from the tee. Fade refers to how sharply a disc will finish its flight and hit the ground. Higher fade ratings refer to sharper finishing angles. Discs that tend to turn outward more and finish softly to the opposite side are referred to as understable, whereas discs that hold a straight flight and finish sharply to the expected side are referred to as overstable. Once you get a few discs, consider getting some optional equipment to elevate your game and enable you to play more frequently. Most players keep their discs and other gear in a disc golf bag. Most of these are either shoulder bags or backpacks, but backpacks are recommended as they balance carrying weight across your back and shoulders to reduce strain. Entry-level backpacks can be as little as $25 and generally carry around 15 discs. Advanced and professional players tend to carry higher quality backpacks. These can range as high as $200 or more and carry well over 20 discs, along with various other equipment and water bottles. Some also have insulated compartments for keeping drinks and food cold on the course. As you play more frequently, consider upgrading to a disc golf cart. These are purpose-built for disc golf and feature all-terrain wheels in various styles, designs, and colors. The biggest advantages to having a cart include carrying even more discs, removing any carrying strain from the back and shoulders, and having a seat with you on the course to take breaks if needed. Carts are especially popular with older or tournament players and those who may have other limitations like injuries. Yes, Elizabeth?
Okay, I know what discs I need, but how do I actually throw them?
Perfect segue. Let's talk about throwing techniques. The disc golf throw is regarded as one of the most unique movements in all of sports. There are dozens of varieties, and no two players throw exactly the same way. The most common types of throws are backhand and forehand, which is also called a flick. Most players will find either backhand or forehand is their natural throwing style and pair that style with their dominant hand. Personally, I am naturally a right-hand backhand thrower. Other players may naturally be left-hand forehand. Just pick up a disc and start throwing to see what feels natural. The backhand throw is the most common form and generally gives the most distance. It is done with the dominant shoulder pointing forward toward the basket, drawing the disc around the body on the non-dominant side with throwing arm pulled across the chest, then pulling the arm across the chest and forward and releasing at the point of full arm extension. Here is a demonstration of me throwing a backhand. If I can get it to work. Notice the reach back extension behind me with my right hand, then pulling across the chest before the release. Apologies for the shakiness at the end of the video, but this is also a good representation of that disc flight shape. The forehand form is slightly less common than the backhand, but still very common. It is done with the chest facing forward, pulling the disc beside the body on the dominant side, cocking the wrist backward, then pulling the arm forward and flicking the wrist forward on release. This technique is very similar to a baseball pitch. Here's a demonstration of me throwing a forehand approach shot. Notice the disc being pulled behind my dominant side and being flicked on the release. Yeah. Oh, almost got it. Throwing a disc from the left versus right hand is what determines which natural flight direction the disc will take. For right-hand backhand or left-hand forehand throwers, the disc will tend to turn right and fade back to the left. For left-hand backhand or right-hand forehand, the disc will tend to turn left and fade back to the right. Understanding these flight physics will enable you to choose exactly which disc and throwing form makes the most sense to use based on how far you need a shot to fly and what shape you want it to take. At professional levels, most players have developed both their backhand and forehand techniques, regardless of which one they naturally favor. There are some less common throwing techniques, mainly overhand throws designed for very tall flights at somewhat short distances. Examples are the tomahawk and grenade throws. Feel free to Google these for more info. In contrast to throws intended to get closer to the basket, which vary widely, throws made into the basket are referred to as putts and are generally always in the backhand style. Putting is harder than it looks and requires lots of practice to do accurately. But like ball golf, putting is crucially important to playing competitively. Here's a demonstration of me putting. Even though this is a short putt of maybe 20 feet, I'm still very happy about it. Combined with the uniqueness of the disc golf throws, the way the disc is gripped matters just as much. There are three standard grips: the power grip, the forehand grip, and the fan grip. Power and forehand grips are used for driving and approach shots, where the fan grip is commonly used for putting. The power grip, used only in backhand throws, has the thumb on top of the disc, just above the index finger, and all four fingers wrapped tightly around the rim to the underside. The forehand grip is more variable. The thumb is still on top, above the index finger, but only the first two fingers are wrapped under the disc, with the edge pressed tightly against the ring finger. It varies by how each player feels most comfortable orienting their two fingers under the disc. The fan grip is similar to the power grip, but looser. The index finger is actually placed on the outside edge of the disc, and the other fingers are wrapped under and fanned out. There are also several grips for overhand throws, like the tomahawk and grenade I mentioned earlier, but those are less common. Feel free to Google those for more details. Okay, we've covered basic techniques and gameplay necessities. I want to talk briefly about disc golf culture and my future plans. Disc golf culture is one of the best parts about the sport. You won't find a friendlier, more welcoming community. Like golf, there are traditional elements and standard etiquette to be aware of. For example, it's traditional for players to high five or fist bump each other good and tell each other good luck before the start of a game, and repeat the process at the end, saying good game or good round. Players also frequently encourage or compliment each other while playing, saying things like good shot, nice throw, great putt, and so on. However, never talk about a throw until it has landed. There's a strong superstition that saying nice or making a similar comment while a disc is flying can curse it and cause a negative outcome. If you ever hear someone say, "Don't nice me, bro," this is what they're referring to. Like ball golf, players should also be respectfully silent whenever another player is throwing or getting ready to throw, and not cross in front of their throwing lines whenever it can be avoided. Unlike ball golf, however, most players put their contact info on their discs, and lost discs are pretty frequently returned. There are actually entire social media groups dedicated to reuniting lost discs with their owners. I have personally returned many discs and had many of mine also returned to me. It's one of my favorite things about the sport. Regarding my current and future plans, I'm still relatively new to competitive disc golf. I'm a sponsored player for Team Truly Unique, a retail shop located in Belton, Missouri, near the world headquarters for Dynamic Discs in Emporia, Kansas, and I hope to remain on their sponsor team indefinitely. I'm also a member of the UNT Disc Golf Club and look to remain on that team until I complete my degree in December 2022. I'm a member of both Team Trilogy and the DD Squad, both of which are community driven, and I look forward to remaining active with them as well. I'm also very excited to be applying to Team Westside Discs for the 2022 season. I'm a huge fan of Westside Discs, and being a member of their sponsored team is a big dream of mine. I should hear back about my application soon. I also launched my Chip and Discs channel earlier this year and look forward to continuing to grow it into a reputable brand. So far, it's just a social media outlet for me to post content and collaborate with other like-minded players, but I have plans to branch into product development, course design, marketing and promotions, and ultimately have both a retail store and a disc golf course somewhere in North Texas. While I've only played 2 major tournaments this year, I'm already planning to play many more in the future and have every intention of making disc golf a lifelong endeavor. I can't wait to see what the future holds. Before I wrap up, did anyone have any other questions? Yes, Tony, I can take one last question.
This has been a great presentation. What should I do now?
Well, thank you very much. Simply put, you should play. If you don't already have any discs, pick up at least a driver, mid-range, and putter from a local sporting goods or a disc golf store. Check the used section for great deals. Once you have at least a few discs, download the UDisc app and find a local course. UDisc allows you to easily locate courses and keep your scores while you play. Be sure to involve family and friends. Disc golf is something to offer for everyone. Once you start playing and find some people to play with, you'll see how incredibly fun disc golf really is. If you're already a casual player, consider getting more involved by finding local clubs or tournaments. In the North Texas area, there are club events or tournaments nearly every day. Don't be afraid to talk to others on the course either. Most are very friendly and happy to chat about their own disc golf journeys. Search on social media to find clubs in your area. Follow major disc golf brands and organizations to learn more about the sport and how it's evolving. I've listed a few popular disc golf channels to give you a head start. Feel free to also follow Chip and Discs on social media to keep up with me, and don't be afraid to reach out if you have any additional questions. Okay, I want to thank you all for your time and attention. I know I just gave you a lot of details, so I've made a handout to capture the main points and give you some takeaway information. Be sure to grab one of these on your way out. Again, my name is Chip Little from Chip and Discs. I greatly appreciate your time, and thank you again for coming, and happy throwing.